Hi, my name's Stuart Bull, and here are my 5 top tips on how to be a professional guitar player. Okay, tip number 1, create a solo act. Go out and do gigs by yourself. There's a ton of backing tracks out there now that you can use. You can get them from Lick Library, you can get them from karaoke companies, and with some of those companies you can edit those tracks as much as you want, take the vocals off, take the guitar off, depending on what you're going to do. And the solo act is somewhere that you can do in pubs. You can do it in clubs, you can do it in, there's Navy clubs, there's Army clubs, and my personal favourite, which is actually restaurants. The great thing about restaurants is, I used to play in many Cafe Unos, and in the first hour, normally a 2-hour gig with a break, in the first hour, you can play some jazz, you can play some blues. Nobody's really listening, so you can basically just get paid to practice. And it's absolutely brilliant. Now, in the second half, normally you will have to do some singing. But I recommend learning how to sing, as it's an additional skill, which I believe anybody can do. And also, if you can learn it, you can get a teacher. There's tons of YouTube videos. There's a guy called Mark Baxter who I really like, and various other people. But once you have that skill set, if you do end up joining a band or you get a call from that band, there's a very good chance that you might have to sing a couple of songs if the singer wants to take a break. They're probably going to want you to sing backing vocals. And so having that as an extra skill set is really going to help you out. So that's the thing for me. Tip number 1, get into, well, you could be a duo, but a solo act is great. You're completely self-sufficient. And also these days, the equipment that you can use is very small, very portable, and makes it very easy to achieve this. Tip number 2, start teaching guitar. Now, before you think about any financial rewards, the great thing about teaching guitar is if, say, for example, you've taught major scale harmony 100 times to 100 people, there's a very good chance that that information is going to stay in your own brain. So basically, you are learning by teaching. I went to a guy years ago to learn some jazz harmony, and he said the best way to learn is to teach. And that was one of the reasons I got into the whole Lick Library total accuracy thing and started those companies, because I thought it'd be a great way for me to learn. The only slight caveat to this one is make sure you charge according to the abilities that you think you have. So in other words, if you've just started teaching, try and decide what a fair rate would be for that. And also make sure that you are, being honest with the students. Like one time I had a guy who called me up and said, "Hey, can you teach me how to play like George Benson?" And ironically enough, George Benson is my favourite guitar player in jazz, but I didn't feel that I had the skill set to do that. So I was just honest and said, no, that's not something I feel I can do. So teaching is a great way to add something to your sort of financial portfolio, but just make sure that the product and service that you are offering is absolutely top notch, because in my personal opinion, the more you think about your product and service being excellent and the best you can possibly provide, the money will just end up coming along. So teaching, yeah, absolutely great one. Okay, tip number 3, depping or subbing. Subbing is more of an American term, but basically it's where you stand in for another guitar player or musician. And in my opinion, the best approach to this is basically go to some gigs, be they local or wherever, and ask the guitar player if you can get up and play a tune or a couple of tunes. And it helps if you've seen them before and maybe written down some of the songs they play on a regular basis. But another tip is that if you know there's a song or a couple of songs that that guitar player is really sort of sick of playing 2 or 3 times a week or whatever it may be, offer to play that tune. I've had that happen to me, and a lot of times he'll be more than happy to hand that off to somebody else. Hopefully you do a good job, and then at the end of the gig you exchange numbers and you just inform the guy that you're happy to stand in if there's ever an opportunity for you to do that. Okay, maybe the guy is on holiday, maybe he has another gig, whatever it may be, he might just want a day off. And also with these people, the secret is like, if they don't start calling you straight away, don't drive people mad. I can't stress that enough. Don't drive people mad. Just give them a phone call, maybe every 3 weeks, once a month. Hey man, how you doing? Just letting you know that I'm available, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Don't drive people mad. And the absolute, for me, or as a rule for me, is do not steal that person's gig. Even if they get a better money gig and they're not doing the gig a lot and you end up doing their gig or their show, more regularly than they are, and even if the band approach you, do not steal that person's gig. That's career suicide. And you better make sure you can eat out on that gig for the rest of your life if you do steal it, because basically the word's going to get around and then no one's going to offer you any work. All right? So just be careful with that one. I had a situation in Tenerife once where I was subbing for a good friend of mine who's unfortunately passed away, and the boss of the bar said, right, you're going to do Saturday. I said, no. He said, what do you mean? I said, you ask Ian. If Ian wants me to do the gig, Ian can call me, Ian can book me. It was his gig, that was it, and I wasn't prepared to steal it. And I think the guy was a little bit butthurt at first, but once he realised that, I was always on time and provided a good service, and always made him and Ian look good, then he got over it and we moved forward. But that's the thing. Do not steal the guy's gig. Tip number 4, recording. Now, Quincy Jones is probably not going to ring you up or me and ask us to do a session. Steve Lukather is not going to call and say, hey, I'm busy on Thursday, can you fill in? It could happen through networking, but it's very unlikely. So my advice is get yourself a home recording setup and learn how to use it. You can do sessions for people online. People can send you tracks, you can play on them. You can put examples of your work on social media and people can find you like that. I've had that happen to me. But there's a lot of services that you can provide by being a good sort of engineer, producer. And again, like I say, you can play on people's tracks, you can mix their tracks, you can co-write their tracks. Also, these days, there are a ton of online companies like Envato Elements, which I'm a subscriber to, a member of, and I can't remember the other main one, but there's a whole a bunch of them, and you can actually apply and have these people use your music. You can license the music that you create to these people, and then if people use them on movies or productions, you can get paid that way. But there's a lot of different ways that you can make money from recording your own music. And so get yourself a recording set up, learn how to use it well, and then start putting your product and service out there for people to pay you for doing. Tip number 5. Now this is going to seem like a bit of an obvious one, but it's YouTube. In my personal opinion, there's never been a better time to start a YouTube channel. Even if you can't monetize it or you have trouble doing that, you're getting your work out there. People are seeing that work, and then there's an opportunity for you to be employed from this. And the subjects that you can teach, it just never ends. Just within our field of guitar, you've got the different styles, the different genres. You've got rock, you've got metal, you've got blues, you've got country, you've got acoustic strumming, acoustic blues. It just goes on and on and on. And then there's all the techniques within those genres. There's alternate picking, economy picking, sweep picking, hybrid picking, legato, two-handed tapping, harmonics. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And that's if you're only going to be doing teaching. There's gear reviews, which is huge. And I think there's always room for good content. Even if you're doing a subject that somebody else is doing and being very successful at it, as long as you're providing a good product and service, you're always going to do well. Now, just be warned that YouTube can be a bit of a slow burner. I'm going through that process myself, but it's just like anything. Rome wasn't built in a day. It was built brick by brick. And you basically just have to, take that approach. Just try and make a couple of videos every week, or as many as you feel that you can, and just try and do the best service and quality that you can. But the thing to remember is don't wait until you can afford a 4K camera or a full Hollywood production. Start with whatever you've got, and don't be afraid of ridicule. That's one of the things that's really big. Sometimes you'll make a YouTube video and there's always somebody out there that disagrees with you, or thinks you're talking rubbish or whatever. Don't be perturbed by this stuff. Just keep going, keep making the best quality videos you can with whatever you have. And if it's the long game, but if you're patient, you will be rewarded. There are my top 5 tips for becoming a professional guitar player. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment with your views. And please visit guitarstarclothing.com and consider purchasing some of our merchandise. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.